a being who was stood facing me, and this entity had larger eyes than ours, not very hugely large, but they were larger than ours, filling the entire well of the eye. Mm-hmm. And it said to me in my head, I don't recall any movements of anything. It was just simply in my head. It said, we're very sorry to be doing this, but this is for a future time. And from there, I was given a lot of information. This all came out during the hypnosis, but the point that I think I perhaps should terminate on, because all of it is in the book.
It's in the book, okay.
But the nub of this is that I was given information. I was told about Cynthia's father when he would pass away, and that he would be a bridge at an interface between what we are doing and where he is now. And I was given very important information, which we flew back to England once the professor had written all this up, and went to the place, which was my old home, which I hadn't been to in over 35 years, 45 years. And this is what I was told. In the regression, it was all completely clear again, that there would be an oak tree amongst many trees, but there's one oak tree. This was in December that we flew back. The leaves were off the trees during the winter. One oak tree, and at the base of this tree would be two plants, a bluebell and a primrose, that the biologists would be able to monitor for the literal physical health of our planet. And we went back. I took cameras with me and people to record this, so that it wasn't my word as I'm giving it to you now. And there was the oak tree with the odd straggled oak leaf still on it, brown, ready to drop, but it's still on the tree, confirming this is an oak tree. This is where I walked straight to it. I mean, I knew exactly where I had to go. And going to it, I come straight to where the light was, and there is this, still to this day, we have had aircraft over since, but a perfect 35-foot diameter ring is still there to this day.
Ring around the tree?
A ring where the light was that I went into. And the plants are growing much darker on this dark ring. So we had confirmation that what had happened as an experience, part dream, first part, second part hypnosis, that the information that was communicated during that process, that hypnosis, was confirmed on the ground some little while later. So that was the start. And you were saying about, kind of, you could read it as, are you chosen for the job, or is it you're meant to do it? I would, of course, because I don't see myself as any different to anybody else. I know I'm not any different to anybody else. No. What I've done is I have searched for truths. I am a person that cannot let go when I see misjustice, a lack of compassion for people and for plants and for animals. And I guess it's what drives me forward to try and, as best I can, complete this journey for myself. But as I said, that's the front end of a lot of that's had to be written up to allow us all to see what's actually happening here, what's happening beyond the television headlines of hoaxing. It's what's happening also to those people making crop circles that is being completely missed from those headlines.
Well, to go back for a second, we don't have to be special people or have any titles or have any kind of money or have anything. The simple people are the ones, if you look back in history, are all the ones who were chosen to do certain things because of the heart, because of what you just said, not being able to let go of those things, right? That's not being able to let go, knowing that you're going to get this done because it's in you, and that's why.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful story. Can't read more about it.
Well,
I'm sure our listeners will. Plus, anyone out there who may have had an experience of sorts won't feel so alone, knowing,
No, thank you.
I think I can talk to somebody now.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It was, if I may just add to
Sure.
this, the fact that I had held so much in for so long, and at every interview I ever did, throughout all of those documentaries and all the rest of it, I would often be asked, had I seen UFO, had I had any experiences, and I never lied about it, but I didn't offer that side. I felt strongly that we've got to hold in that earlier part of this work. I had to hold the ground, with credibility, at least, as a scientist, engineer, doing this work, that at least we would be seen as somewhat sensible. It's only been at the back end, where other things are happening now to a lot of people, that I guess I should just say this. I was asked to present 3 years ago in Washington, D.C., and I was in the shower in Guilford, here in Connecticut, washing. And this has only happened to me a handful of times, but when it happens, I know something's going on. And I got information. I was in the middle of a shower, and something told me, you have to relate this experience now. And it was emphatic. I thought about it. I knew what it was telling me, and I headed to Washington, D.C. with a different package than what they thought I was arriving with. And just as if it was a confirmation of an angel of some sort in that audience, Cynthia was with me down there. Her as witness, plus others who won't come forward, who came up to me before my presentation. There were many CIA and other intelligence people there, and he came straight in front of me and said, looking beyond my eyes into my head, he said, "You know what you have to say now. You know what has to be done." It was like, wow, this is peculiar. And all I did was to transmit back to him, yes, I do. And I did. And what happened from that moment on, from that presentation to others that have followed, is, as you rightly say, others that your viewers will know, the people like Stephen Greer, Stephen Bassett, many very well-known people in the research of the UFO in particular, all started to tell their own stories of a part of them that had not been disclosed, changing the entire environment, embracing and including what was always been there, but is now setting itself up. Once we have to imagine things and then embrace them and believe them before we can manifest them.
Right.
And that is now, I am convinced, what now is happening. And with it all, as anything that changes in a kind of an infrastructure of many complex systems, new phenomena occur. Things that we have spoken about, spirals in the sky, voices that are coming over electronic equipment. I've been working on it just in the last 7 days. Voices that are coming through particular frequencies in particular equipment here in Guilford. There are large-scale experiments that have been done in England, Luxembourg, and Germany, and those too are referred to in the book, setting the stage for what is to come. It's going to be a very different world, with new technologies, with new spiritual content to our well-being and our thinking, and a coherence of love that must be, there is no choice in this, as you know. This must be the way we move forward. We're on the crossroads, and there's no way off but forward in a much better, more positive, more female, biased society.
So can I just ask your insight to the unrest in Egypt and that part of the world? Is that what you're referring to also, that they're asking for change? Or are you talking more about the United States of America and our structure of society?
I'm talking about all structures.
The world.
All infrastructure, whether it be political, religious, whether it is our population, whether it is the way we deal with materialism, our support for life, whether it is human, animals, the planet, all that we have worked with to sustain life thus far, as far as the human side of this is concerned, it has been driven by, it would seem, a desire by at least leadership of major countries, major governments, for ownership, for control, for power, and clearly that has led us to this crisis, along with other things that we don't understand and we have no control over. There's a lot happening right now. This day, in fact, 3 or 4 hours ago, NASA reporting a very major CME at the peak of cycle 24 with the sun. This is the solar cycle.
CME is.
Yeah, tell our viewers what a CME is.
Yeah, this is a coronal mass ejection from the sun. The sun itself goes through cycles of 11 years, where sunspots is what we visually see. They drop away to a minimum for half that cycle, and then they begin to become visible, certainly through satellite technology and through magnification systems, magnifying systems. And so NASA have been watching very carefully what's been happening at the peak of this current cycle. That has been predicted for quite a while now as being potentially precipitating a problem on Earth installed electrical grid systems. What that effectively means, and as an electrical engineer myself, it's something that we all the time have to be aware of. It's called Lenz's law, and I try to keep this simple, is that when a conductor, we'll call that a piece of copper, passes through two magnets or a magnetic field, it actually induces a current inside that conductor. What's happening with the sun is that it throws off electrified plasma towards us, and that happened a few hours ago, and a particularly large one, towards the Earth. And then when that electrified field hits our magnetic field, which is reducing in its strength, and that's been happening for quite some time, we are due ourselves for a pole shift. The sun itself is doing the same thing. It's within a few days, a few weeks at most, but for its own magnetic flip. And when it does that, the ripple and percolating effect, electrostatically and plasma-wise, it moves throughout the entire solar system. That does not mean, I should say to the viewers, that this does not mean that we're about to die, or a collapse in our entire system. But there will be aurora borealis, there will be effects on the grid system. The worst possible scenario is that we have a collapse in the grid system, and it would take a while to reconstruct transformers that go open circuit. So I'm sorry if that was a little bit complex and kind of went off at a tangent, but it is one part of a great deal of things that are changing. It's just one of many things. That's why we had to try and put the book in such a constructed fashion that people could gently come through it with experiences people are having, at the personal level, and stitch them all together. Information that was coming through EVP, not that these are mysterious voices, whether they're soul spirits from the deceased or other entities, whatever or whoever they are, we have information. And so it's piecing all of that together. What did the crop circles tell us? Well, we had information, very specific, decoded from some of the crop markings. We had a voice come over a television broadcast, a news broadcast in Great Britain, independent television news, in 1976, way back then, in what was to become, before it became, the epicenter of crop circle activity, the largest area of activity in the world, within 40 miles of Stonehenge. And